If you've been scrolling through endless spec sheets, watching dozens of best gaming laptop videos, and still feel stuck wondering which machine actually lives up to the hype, you're not alone. The market is flooded with flashy numbers, but the real question is whether any of those laptops will actually handle the games you love, the video edits you need to finish, and the Zoom calls you can't miss without blowing your budget or your patience. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the NIMO 15.6-inch AI creator laptop, point out exactly who will get the most out of it, and tell you when it's smarter to keep looking. First off, let's talk about the heart of the machine, an AMD Ryzen 5 6600H. This is a 6-core, 12-thread chip that sits a notch below the high-end Ryzen 7 or Intel i7 mobile processors, but it's still a workhorse for anything beyond basic web browsing. In my own testing, I ran a couple of popular titles Valorant on low-medium settings and Elden Ring on low graphics while also having a music production DAW open in the background. The frame rate stayed comfortably in the 5,060 frames per second range for Valorant, and Elden Ring hovered around 30 frames per second, which is playable if you don't demand ultra-smoothness. The CPU also handled video editing in DaVinci Resolve quite nicely. A 1080p timeline rendered in about half the time it took on my older 8-year-old laptop. So for gamers who aren't chasing max settings 4K performance, and for creators who need a solid, responsive workstation for everyday projects, the 6600H is more than adequate. Now graphics. The NIMO uses an integrated Radeon 660M built on RDNA2. It's not a dedicated GPU, so you won't be crushing the latest AAA titles at high settings. However, the 660M is a step up from older Vega graphics and can actually push many esports and indie games at 1080p without stutter. In a side-by-side comparison with a typical entry-level GTX 1650, the 660M fell short on raw horsepower but made up for it with lower power draw, which translates into less heat and quieter fans during long sessions. If you're mainly playing titles like Fortnite, Rocket League, or Minecraft, or you do light video rendering that leverages the GPU, the integrated graphics won't be a deal breaker. Heat and fan noise are where most budget gaming laptops stumble, and the NIMO is no exception. Under sustained load, say, a 30-minute Elden Ring run, the chassis warmed up quickly, and the dual-fan system kicked into a noticeable whine. It's not an ear-splitting scream, but if you're in a quiet apartment or trying to record voiceovers while gaming, you'll hear the fans ramp up to about 55 dB. The laptop does manage to keep temperatures in the 80-85 C range on the CPU, which is safe but indicates you'll want to give it a breathing space every now and then. For short bursts of intense play, the cooling is acceptable, but marathon sessions will feel a bit sweaty. Keyboard feel is another practical factor. The NIMO ships with a full-size island-style layout that includes a numeric keypad, a rarity on 15.6-inch machines. The keys have a medium travel that feels responsive enough for fast-paced shooters, and the backlighting is adjustable across 3 zones. I didn't notice any wobble or ghosting, which means you can type a dissertation, execute combos, or fire off code snippets without missing a beat. If you're used to high-end mechanical keyboards, the tactile punch will be milder, but the overall experience is solid for a laptop in this price bracket. Battery life is often the make-or-break point for portable gamers. The NIMO packs a 53.58 Wh cell paired with a 100W USB-C power delivery brick. In real-world use, I got roughly 5 hours of mixed productivity emails, spreadsheets, and a few YouTube videos before the charger was needed. Gaming, unsurprisingly, shaved that down to about an hour and a half of continuous play. The upside is the 100W PD capability. You can drop the laptop into a bag, plug the charger into a wall, or a high-power power bank, and you'll be back at full charge in about an hour. For remote workers who need long battery endurance, the laptop isn't a primary powerhouse, but for students or creators who can keep a charger handy, the trade-off feels reasonable. Storage and memory are where the NIMO starts to feel future-proof. A 1TB PCIe SSD offers rapid load times, games boot in under 15 seconds, and large video clips import instantly. The 16 GB of DDR5 RAM is already generous for multitasking, but the spec sheet mentions an upgrade slot. That means if you anticipate needing 32 gigabytes for heavier 4K editing or running multiple virtual machines, you can add it later without ripping the whole thing apart. This upgrade path is a nice safety net that many similarly priced laptops don't provide. Port selection is fairly standard. A USB-C that handles both power and display port, 2 USB-A 3.2 ports, an HDMI 2.1 output, and a headphone jack. I was able to connect a 144Hz external monitor and a full-size mouse without any hiccups, which is handy if you want a